Hey, quants, just going to be a real quick one today because I did take a brief look at the markets before starting the stream, and it doesn't look like there's much of interest going on, but I still want to just come in and touch base here. So still looking fully bullish on the master strategy. That 1 day swing on the Gann has turned, or the 1 bar swing, not the 1 day swing, the 1 bar swing on the daily time frame has turned up for the Gann Swing indicator, just because this bar was an up bar compared to this one. And so actually, yeah, so this would have been a down bar, this would have been an up bar. So in the 2 day swing, it is still setting in a downtrend area. So we're going to have to get a break above this area here in 94,000 to really get an uptrend on the two bar indicator. So nothing really happening right now, just kind of sitting in the middle of no man's land. The oscillators are, looks like one at 54 and one up here at 67, which is a little bit high. It's kind of cooling off a bit. So down on the MACD, it's been slowly trending up, but we're really not getting a ton of momentum out of that. So we did get the oscillator here, the MA for the MACD turning up a few days ago, which can be bullish. There's yeah, it looks like this this kind of buy signal here on the oscillators mostly fizzled out. So if I'm being honest with myself in a macro down market, and I will be the first to admit that this is more challenging for me because I tend to be long biased. So if you're on a similar path as myself and you also find yourself being long biased, this might be educational for both of us to just kind of take a hard look at where the market currently is and try to see it from the other side, which is that based on the master strategy, I'm just going to say we are in a bearish market. And so with that said, what I would look at, I know some people invert the chart. I'm not going to try and do that right now because I have done that here and there, but I just don't do that much. So I'm not going to try and present something like that right now. But with that said, my current view of the macro trend currently being down, everything looks like we're in a bear market. This is looking more and more to me like a bearish reset, meaning that the oscillators might have kind of cooled off a little bit in the sense that they've trended up. Remember, we want to invert things. So if I was looking for bullish things, I'd want the oscillators to be low with room to move up. If I'm bearish, I want them to be high with room to move down. And so they both have trended up. Now the MACD, of course, is still below the zero line, so it's not like it went super high. The stochastic is setting at 66, which is again not super high. So there is potential to just these cool off a little bit, and then we actually get some momentum. And I'll talk about that here in just a second. But right now, it is looking like there is definitely room for these oscillators to move down and for the price to move down. And so if we're going to use price action to kind of say, okay, where's the line in the sand when we think, hey, we're definitely getting some more downside here. Looking at the 2 bar swing, we have 2 bars up. So if we get a couple of days below this pivot low, then the trend is just going to be basically a continuation of the downtrend. And so that obviously would not look positive. I'm using 2 things. I actually turned on the price action pivots indicator. So let me see if I can get the right thing on here. So the price action pivot indicator, you can get that on Crown Quant Alchemy. The description for this will be in the link for this will be in the description of the show notes, and so you can find that there. But they do have a lifetime option, but you can subscribe to it for only $30 a month if you want to look at that, and you get a free trial. The Gann Swing indicator that I use is one that I built, and I sell that on the Quant Alchemy site. So if you want to just get that for lifetime and keep it and have it called Gann Swing indicator or Gann Swing, there's also a Gann Swing catalyst you can get with it that you can utilize to build strategies with. That is actually over on the Quant Alchemy site. So there'll be a link for this description in there. But if you just want to kind of try these things out, That one is called the trend wave in the quant prime. A lot of people don't actually know that's really just a Gann swing indicator. And so if you try out, if you're part of the quant prime or you try out the quant prime, you can get access to that just to test it out and see how you like that. So my reason for pointing both of those out is because it's not always the case, but it is very commonly the case that the price action pivots indicator will display the pivot high and pivot low that you get from the 2-bar swing on the Gann swing indicator. And so I didn't build the price action pivots indicator, so I can't tell you what went into defining those values. I can tell you what went into building the Gann swing indicator because that is just using fundamental Gann terminology and that, right? So high bar, low bar, that kind of stuff. So up bar, down bar, inside bar, outside bar, those kind of concepts. And so and you'll see here in this case they both line up, right? And so if that point gets broken, then it looks like we're just a continuation of the downtrend is what this is going to look like. So there is some specific price action you can watch there if you're interested in seeing that. I was getting interrupted. I don't know if the sound of the ring is going to show up on the audio here, but hopefully I didn't get too I guess just to mess up my wording too much there when I was explaining that. So that is it for that. The thing that I wanted to mention, downswing, I think I went into it, right? So we went about how to get these. If you want to get these on the, if you want to get these, you can go to the Crown Quant Alchemy site, or you can go to the Quant Alchemy site if you want the lifetime access to the Gann swing indicator. So just going to turn on the moons real quick. So again, the moons haven't played out yet. Looks like it's mostly flat, a little bit down. This bar doesn't look too good to me, right? So we're getting kind of a, I'm trying to remember what they call that. So I know it's like a hammer when it's up at the top, or a shooting star. And so this is essentially the opposite, right? Where you have a long wick and a little bit more of the body close to the bottom. So this can be a bearish reversal signal. Obviously we still have half of the day-ish to go before that closes. So something to pay attention to. Doesn't mean it's completely over. You can see here we actually got an up bar right after that. So just something to be aware of it. And as I mentioned before, it just kind of feels like prices kind of stalling out here. And so you'll see these volumes kind of dying down. So it is possible that we're just seeing accumulation, right? And so with low volume in a sideways market or a down market, that could potentially be either sellers getting exhausted, or maybe, we're seeing some accumulation. But that is not necessarily actionable at this point because it can go either way. So I don't really have a lot more to say about that. I'm just gonna go ahead and hide that one again. And I hope everyone is doing well. Oh, that's the other thing that I wanted to mention. So we do have the data coming out for CPI next week and the interest rate discussion. So if this is potentially an accumulation period, I think that people would be accumulating for that particular event. And so it is a potential possibility that from a fundamental standpoint, maybe that's what people are waiting for, is they're waiting for that to come out. If they're, we have like an 89% or 90+%, something where I haven't looked at it recently, of getting the interest rate cut. So potentially people are trying to position for that. If that's the case, then it potentially could be a sell the news event as well. And so either way, if you're watching the price action, you'll see the price action kind of break above here. So if you're late to the game and you're following a Gann style strategy, then you might want to take a little bit of a bid when it breaks above 94. If it breaks above 94, I would look at that as a very short-term type of position, considering the market that we're in right now. And if we were going to be playing that off of the 200s, then I'm just going to use the price of the 200s now, but obviously it'll drop down a little bit more between then. You're looking at about 10% to get 104,000. I think there's going to be a lot of resistance around 100,000, so you might want to take something off around there. And if you're doing that, it's going to be closer to about 6.5%-ish. If you're playing up to the 200s here, then you're going to be looking at about 109 as the next 200 touch. So that is a potential option for anybody who's following the master strategy and looking at potential options for positions there. The other thing that I wanted to dig into, now that this video is going to end up getting a little bit longer, is the current state of where we are for the year in 2025 on Bitcoin. And this is not looking any better than last time I looked at it. Last time I looked at it, I believe it was at 2 point something percent, and now we're at 3%. So point is, we're just going down even farther for the year. And so obviously we're not at the low that we've seen for the year. We're up off of the low. But this is not looking very good for a positive close for the year. There's a lot of commentary about that. I'm not gonna add any more commentary on that right now, but I did just want to take a real quick look at that because this is something I'm going to continue to look at and see how the year closes to see if we get a green year. One thing I will note throughout 2009, the history that we have here, one thing that I will note is we have never had two bear markets within the same year. And so if we do get a bearish close or a negative close, I think it would not be unreasonable to expect a bullish close for 2026. That does not mean that we're going to get rich off of that close necessarily. This is a mostly flat close at this point, so it's not as significant as these other ones have been. It looks like we only got 9% here, so pretty close to this one. Probably not seeing 43,000% gain there, but just in terms of how these things have oscillated, I wouldn't be surprised to see a green close for the year of 2026 if we see a red year close here. And there's really this is just straight up speculation based off of these patterns, which might not necessarily play out, right? I wouldn't put a ton of probability on that, right? I'd much rather play just price action, but I could foresee some arguments for why you would, if you're going to say, hey, it's always done this, so it's probably going to continue to do that. There's some validity to that type of an argument, I would say. All right, hope everyone is doing well, and that will be it for today. Peace, quants.